All right, so that's an experience at one place, the Thaput community. I think we've kind of been successful to some extent, and children enjoy it. But we've noticed a few things. For example, we've noticed that this is a community that is very near to Bangkok. So it's a kind of urban and semi-urban. And nearby, near the museum and near the monastery, there are a number of industrial estates, factories. And there are a lot of migrant workers, a lot of mobility. And in fact, the communities that surround the monastery are not local people. Local people have moved out, elsewhere. They've sold the land and moved elsewhere. And people who have moved in are migrant workers from Isan, from the northeast. So they have the kind of different cultural background, and they do not share the same pride in the local heritage as the local community, the local people might have. So that's kind of the structure, the social structure and organization of community is very mixed and have a lot of newcomers. And because of the socio-economic constraints, migrant workers who are generally have very low income, the parents prefer children to earn income at weekends, doing odd things and to earn income, supplementary incomes, rather than participating in activities like museum activities or extra school activities. So it's quite hard to get children to participate. Another thing is that when you work with school children, even if you have collaboration and cooperation of schools nearby, you'll find that formal school teaching and schedule are very demanding. It's so full of classes, very, very busy. Children are very, very busy. And some parents, if they come from good family, wealthy family, they would feel that they would prefer children to go to private classes so that children get good grade and can enter university, can sit in entrance exam to university. That would be more worthwhile than spending their time in a museum, cleaning pots and pans and things like that. So it's kind of sometimes seen as extra or superfluous. It's not central to their education, right? Another thing that we find is that although the museum and the schools are situated side by side, next to one another, they don't always cooperate very well. They have their own agendas, they have their own priorities. So what we find is that after our team stop doing the activities, after the resources from outside stop, there is little continuity in the museum, in the collaboration between the museums and the schools. But on the other hand, what we find is that we have to think about how local museums or monastery museums operate within their own context. They're not like institutional museums that are open from 9 to 5, have regular curators who are there all the time to give you information. Sometimes these museums are closed and you have to go to the abbot or some monks in order to get the key to open the museum. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a life, but it's life, it only comes to life at certain time according to the religious cycle of the community and the monastery. So during religious festivals, which happen, at certain periods of the year, the museums will become very lively, and there are children's activities, and children will take you around, and parents and children and school teachers will come together to organize some kind of activities, which can be learning activities for school children. But it has to be in the context of the religious cycle. So let's move to another museum in northern Thailand. This is called Wat Lai Hin, which is in Lampang, about 50 kilometers from here. This is a very beautiful monastery. It has an old vihan, an old building. It's a Buddha hall, which is about 200-300 years old. Now, we carried out very rather similar activities, but here we use drawing, painting, sketching, a kind of art form as a means to document, to observe and learn about objects in the museum. So by asking museum to draw, this is a water container and this is like a ladle, a large spoon. They have to observe closely what the material is like, the texture, the color, the size, relative size, etc. And they enjoy it because they feel that this is not work, this is fun. Drawing is more fun. And we are fortunate to have an inspiring teacher, so they enjoyed it very much. Now, at this place, we carried out a project training children to become like young folklore researchers. We invited a scholar to do several weeks training and inviting local children, these 3 children to join and visiting elderly people, asking them about local tales, riddles, puzzles in the community, and document them. And one of the boys here got very interested, and later he became a novice. This is the same boy. This one, he's become a novice. He's still a novice, and hopefully he will become a monk. And we hope that he will become like a successor of the museum operators. Well, this is another activity. We try to get a kind of anthropology students, university students interested in local museums. So during vacation time, we supported a group of anthropology undergraduates from Silpakorn University to visit the community and to learn about the community and to document, certain things and give that to the community. So here you can see their presentation. This is the last day, rather similar to the workshop here. So the last day they present something, and this is the kinship chart of the community. And because it is so complex and it covers hundreds of people, so they need a very long piece of paper in order to display the kinship, the genealogy of the families in the community. Well, at this monastery, in fact, there have been another program that is run by school teachers nearby. She takes the school children to visit the monastery and study these stucco works, which are very, very beautiful at this place. The stucco depicts mythological animals, like, I'm not quite sure, can you see? Like these are animals, birds and deers, and sometimes like a lion, this one here, very beautiful. So she gets the children to learn about these animals and learn about the tales, the local tales about these mythological animals, and draw them and ask them which one they like best, their favorite mythical animals, and so on. So that's quite pleasant. The school sometimes organize activities like getting the elderly people to teach the local scripts, dance, and music.